So, can you tell me a bit about the work you've been doing and the poster you will be presenting today?
Okay, sure. So, hi first. The poster is titled the iLogger, and from the name that we could know that it's a software to log things. The things that the software will log are user interactions. So if researchers want to study search behaviors by people, we could log it using this software that we use. Why do we want to do that first? Because as we know, everybody goes now to search engines to look for information. So people are practically learning using search engines. And there are unfortunately few tools that do that already, like to evaluate the performance of search engines and the relevance for users. It's good to conduct user-centric studies, which, as said, unfortunately few tools do that. So in accordance with my professor, we coordinated like this tool here. And from the name as well, we can see that it's I, which is an acronym for explicit and implicit logging, which mean that the logger will go over users' feedback, which is the explicit logging. You can ask directed questions on search results, on multiple stuff, like you're free to ask whatever questions you want. And also in the background, implicitly, the software will be logging information like the interactions with the software in of itself, how many tabs, like for example, the searcher opened, what websites, what queries, what are the users are seeing now. Also the HTML page will be logged, like various details. I could talk really about the application here, but I want to highlight the most general things that I think that they are relative. So in accordance with the RAT design, it should be sustainable and it should be also general, not very like tailored to a specific use. So I tried here to make a general use case which can be highly customizable. So you can exclude or include parts as whichever you want. So you can, for example, if you want to give context to the searcher and to the study, you can provide a precompiled set of search tasks that the user can go through and start logging inside of the search task. If you want more explicit feedback, you can also provide the users with a pre or and post precompiled set of questions. And as said, like you can include, exclude all of those parts that just has been said. Also the questions that you can provide, they are flexible. You can, for example, in a questionnaire, you can include as many questions as you want, and you can include 3 types of questions. Text form questions with the upper limit, how many characters is allowed to be inside, or multiple choice questions, or also range questions. So on a scale from X to Y, what is your estimation, for example? I can still go into more detail if that's as well necessary. So for example, here the architecture, we'll talk about a little bit the software and the environment that it expects to be in. So the software should be easy to use as it's easily distributable to a lot of people since it's a user-centric study. So you can just install it on a browser as an extension. And it's also developed to be compatible with multiple browsers. So all of the known big browsers should also work with the iLogger. And the iLogger expects a simple JSON file as configuration. Like for example, if you want the questions, what are the search tasks that you want, for example, and all of those could be integrated also with a like search creation, study creation tool, and also an analysis tool, like for example the RAT. It could be also adapted to work with it, and it's expected as well for there to be a server so that the log results can be also uploaded to a server so that it could be analyzed at the end. So if I go just a little bit an overview over the technical information, it was implemented with new technologies so that also all people that are just getting into programming and also like people that already have experience, they're going to be working probably with the most trendy names now, which are like, for example, TypeScript, React, and also on top of that there was a DexiDB, which is an interface that simplifies the database in the browser, which it doesn't offer a very understandable interface, and DexiDB solves that problem. And also, about the implementation of the front end, we can see that it's simple and easy to use. Also, as in the scope of my thesis, I distributed it to multiple friends that use multiple browsers and multiple operation systems, and I provided them with this tool, and I got also feedback that it's simple and intuitive to use, which is also very important if you want to address a wide demographic of people from lower age to higher age. And there are also some tips that you can give, for example, here in the information box. And also it's color-coded, so for example, when you start logging, it will show red that here you can stop it now if you press this button, for example, and the other way around if it hasn't started logging. And also, for example, there are some security measures. So if you finish a task, you won't be able to begin it all over again, for example. Yeah, so that's basically an overview of the whole system.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah.